Guys, I have a confession. I was doing so well, but I caved, and I broke my almost 20-year streak of not seeing an M Night Shyamalan movie. And now I'm pissed. Spoilers for Trap in this review. It's important to say before I give this opinion that I have never seen an M Night Shyamalan film before Trap. This was the first one that really stood out to me enough to want to go watch, and now I'm in kind of a weird place. Starring Josh Hartnett, this film follows a man taking his daughter to the concert of her dreams, but something feels very off. You learn pretty early in the film that this concert was set up as a trap to catch the Butcher, a local serial killer in the area, and if you watched the trailer or have any critical thinking skills, you know that Cooper is the Butcher. This concept was so incredibly fascinating to me. I love the idea of doing a claustrophobic thriller in this setting, but there was so much just wasted potential here. More on this later. While watching in the theater, I felt like I was watching an alien movie. The dialogue felt like it was written by someone who had never talked to a human, and the camera angles were really bizarre and off-putting. I was sitting there watching and thinking, man, this dialogue sucks. Then I realized, oh my gosh, is this intentional? I think what makes this movie so surreal in a good way is that you can tell it takes every bone in Cooper's body to act like a human. Josh Hartnett absolutely carries this film, and by the third act, he becomes legitimately terrifying and probably won't get enough recognition from this movie. That being said, there are some lines in this movie that physically made me angry. I felt like he was very conveniently getting the perfect little nuggets of information he needed to keep getting away. This movie is a living embodiment of Deus Ex Machina and is painfully aware of it. If you don't know, Deus Ex Machina is a plot device where a seemingly unsolvable problem in a story suddenly or abruptly is resolved by an unexpected or unlikely occurrence. The movie knows it's stupid and makes no sense. The entire time I was wondering, why is this concert at like 12 p.m.? And if they're all trying to catch this serial killer that they know is there, why are they telling this random guy all this information? And I don't care if your daughter is the dream girl with a fake sob story. The dude perfectly matches one of the descriptions of who it could be. Profile this man, for goodness sake. My problem with this movie is not that it's a self-aware surrealist thriller. Those kinds of movies are actually right up my alley. But if you're gonna make a movie that doesn't really care about plot holes and just wants to have fun, it better be fun as heck. And I'll say, while I didn't like a lot of the overarching, bigger problems this movie has, it was an enjoyable watch nonetheless. I had a good time watching this film. I just think it could have been so much better. Cooper as a character was absolutely wonderful. A serial killer with crippling OCD who has no idea how to be in a family from his terrible childhood tries to balance his family life and his crazy killer life, and once he messes up and they cross over, he completely shuts down. Pair that character with a great performance in a huge, tight concert setting with thousands of people and ultimate security, you're gearing up to have some wild fun. The problem is, this was such an amazing character in such an amazing setting, and then he doesn't do anything. He just kind of roams around trying to figure out how to escape, and then it's not until the third act does it get really good and intense when we leave the concert. I really struggle when a movie has a great concept or a great setting or location, and then it just doesn't utilize it well. I'm not mad that they left the concert. I'm mad that the best part of the movie was when they left the concert. If you're gonna promise a thriller movie in a concert, I better see some thrills at a concert. I think that there's a really good subtlety and tension to him just kind of floating and trying to lay low, and you feel like he could snap at any given second and lose it on someone, and then he just didn't. Anytime he talked to someone at this concert that made him a little upset, I was thinking, oh, they are so dead, and then everything was fine. I think the biggest sin of this movie is doing a lot of telling and not a lot of showing. We're supposed to be terrified of the Butcher, and we keep hearing all these terrible things he does, but all we see is him kind of walking around and pushing someone down the stairs. Granted, he blows up the kitchen in that one part, so I'll give him that, but it was just a distraction so he could keep walking around. I'm trying to figure out, if this is the point, are we supposed to not believe that he's the butcher? Are we supposed to be in the perspective of a family member and be like, well, I know Cooper, and Cooper wouldn't do that? I understand building tension and not letting him blow up until the third act. That makes sense. But when he doesn't do anything at the concert and then goes home and flips out, what was the point of the concert? You know, the concept of the movie. This movie is very back and forth on whether it wants to throw caution to the wind and be crazy or be really well thought out with deep characters and motives. If you just want a fun thriller that you don't have to think about too hard, it's a good time. But if you're looking for something with a little more substance or even a little more tension, I would look elsewhere. I also think this movie had a lot of potential to have a really amazing soundtrack given the setting, and that just didn't happen. No offense to this artist because she didn't do bad, she's just not really my style, and I think the movie could have done better with a bigger producer name behind it. But I get it, she's M Night Shyamalan's daughter and he's gonna try to boost her music career in this movie about father-daughter relationships. It makes sense, and her acting was actually quite good in this movie. I just really wanted this to be one of those soundtracks I kept going back to, and I'm just not. In summary, what made me so upset about Trap was just how much wasted potential there was. There was an amazing foundation to go either way, either a balls to the walls, wild serial killer thriller movie, or a really tense slow burn that kept you on the edge of your seat, and it's the in-between stage of these two concepts that keeps it from being anything higher than 3 stars for me. I now have to end with the great philosopher, Ron Swanson.
Never half-ass 2 things. Whole-ass 1 thing.
But I want to know what you think. Drop your Trap review in the comments down below, subscribe for more content like this, and if you want to know how I rate movies, you can watch this video right here. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!